If you happen to have seen our building a wooden shield video, then you would have seen me shoot my brother Jacob with a couple of padded arrows. They're really functional. A lot of fun. We used to make these things as kids, and we'd use them in the wars and battles that raged across our neighborhood, and they are super easy to make, and you really only need a couple of things to do it. All you need is an old piece of cloth. I'm using an old t-shirt, but you can use an old bed sheet or anything like that, some duct tape, and a wooden dowel rod. And for tools, all you need is a pair of scissors and a pocket knife. Okay, so to build the arrow, all I did was I took my t-shirt and I rolled it up. After I had it rolled up, I just folded it in half to make a nice little cushion. I didn't want it too tight because it needs to absorb a good amount of shock. After I had it rolled up, I just took the duct tape and I wrapped it around it a couple of times just to keep it nice and secure while I was trying to attach it to the arrow shaft later. Otherwise, it would just come unfolded and flop all around. So I rolled some duct tape around it, and then I took my tape and I began taping the cushion to the top of the shaft. I started real low at the base and just started working my way up. There wasn't really any rhyme or reason to it. I just kept adding tape until it felt like it was nice and secure on there. Something to consider when you are making your arrow cushion is to make the end of it considerably larger than somebody's eye socket, because if you're shooting it at somebody and you happen to accidentally hit them in the face, you don't want it to be so small that it can go in their eye. If it's nice and big, then it's just going to be like a big cushiony punch and it's not going to do any real damage. What I did next was I began tearing off strips of tape, maybe about 5 inches long, and I would take the very edge of the tape and lay it on the shaft about an inch down, because we need something to grab onto when we're shooting the arrow. So I started about an inch down from the end of the rod, and what I would do is I'd place one edge and then fold the tape over itself and try to get the other edge to end up as close to the first edge as possible. And then I just pinch the tape together, putting the two sticky sides to make it kind of a flap. And then I just did that 2 more times. Now these flaps are probably too small to catch any real amount of air and keep the arrow on track. So I just did the same thing again. I tore off 5-inch strips of tape, and this time I laid those strips of tape on the first strips, and this just folded the tape over on itself just as I did the first time. After that, I just took my pair of scissors and trimmed off the corners to kind of give it a nice tapered look, make it look a little bit more like a normal arrow. And then just for the sake of decoration, I took my scissors and I just cut little corners out of the edges of the tape to give it some texture and just make it look again like a real arrow, make it look like it was feather instead of duct tape. The last thing I did is I just took my pocket knife and I began to dig a groove in the back of the arrow to act as a notch. What I did is I just used the edge of the knife and put a little gouge in the wood, and I just did that back and forth, gouging the wood, and then after I did that a few times, I would dig out what I had and then just repeat that process until the notch was deep enough for my liking. If I go to shoot the arrow later and it's not deep enough, I can just come back. Usually I have a pocket knife with me, so I can just take out my pocket knife and just repeat that process and just get it a little bit deeper until it works. So that is pretty much it. Like I said, these things are super easy to make. With that done, I think we need to go outside and find someone to test this out on. So we're here with our arrow, and as you can see, you can shoot somebody with it, no problem. Jacob's gonna try to catch the arrow. I know, dude. Oh. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That was good. In addition to getting shot in the chest over and over again by this thing, Jacob has also volunteered his face for an experiment with this arrow involving a pie. Firing. So it is worth mentioning before we wrap this video up that you should not just shoot somebody in the face with one of these on purpose. Obviously, we were shooting a video, so the environment was a little more controlled than if you were just running around the wood with your friends, shooting at each other with padded arrows. If you are gonna do that, we recommend you wear a paintball mask or something like that to protect your eyes and the rest of your face. That about does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, please consider clicking subscribe. We really appreciate it and all the support that we've seen so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see y'all next time.